a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
All right, folks, thanks for tuning in on a Thursday here in Tampa Bay. We appreciate you checking us out, the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm hosting for Brandon Rhymes. My name is Patrick Highland. Check me out on the Sports Zone from 11 to 12 on Sundays. Love to have you call in and talk some sports. But today, I have Mr. Lima, Alex Lima, black belt, my man. How you doing?
What's up, buddy? Always good to be here, man. Pleasure to be here with you.
Amen. And Anthony Rickman, if you're in trouble, he's the man to call. Great criminal defense attorney here in Tampa Bay and a Florida State grad. So got to do a little shout out for him. Go Noles, baby. Hopefully they'll do some things in baseball this year, Anthony. So
move from unranked to 10.
Yeah, so that's my point. They got a shot, man. That's all you can ask. You want your team to be competitive and do a good job, and it makes it a lot of fun. Anthony, how long have you been in practice?
So I started in 2005 as a prosecutor. And after leaving the state attorney's office, I went into private practice 2007. Been in private practice since. I started my own law firm, the Rickman Law Firm, about 6 years ago, and been doing great after my previous law firm.
Well, that's great, man. I'm happy for you doing well. Any big cases that you've done in the past few months that you can discuss? Go ahead.
A lot of my cases are high-profile cases. I handle, we all know the Bayshore racing case. I represent one of the defendants in that case. I have a very serious case of shooting in Pasco County at a open convenience store, market center. So I have a wide variety of cases, multiple DUI manslaughters that I handle, a couple sexual battery charges, and a couple homicides. So with my law firm, we're equipped, and the majority of my cases are larger, high-profile type cases. Handled a case, white collar as well. I represented a defendant who was accused of stealing $14 million from University of South Florida. So we handled both cases in both state and federal court, ranging from your simple misdemeanor DUI to your multi-million-dollar white-collar cases to your homicides.
Wow, man. You do fill the whole spectrum. Yeah. And then if there's something you can't do, I know you pass that along. See, I respect you for that because you stay in your lane. And I do the same thing in my business.
No, without a doubt. I mean, it's good to know your limitations. And for me, my majority of my practice is criminal defense. But if you need heart surgery, you don't go to a brain surgeon. So
Amen,
if there's something that comes in that I can help my clients with, if you know me, call me. I'll get you with the right attorney. In my network of attorneys, I share office space with different types of lawyers, personal injury, contract law, general litigation type of things. So if you need something, no matter what type of area of practice, my firm can help you. If I can't handle it myself, I'm going to get you somebody who I trust, someone who I would want to represent me if I were in that situation to help you with your issue.
Well, people that are listening, you might not ever face that, but you might have a friend. And if you have a friend who gets in trouble, you want to get them with Anthony and do a good job for you. Anthony, talk a little bit about where your practice is based out of and a number and a website to get in touch with you.
Yeah, so I'm in downtown Tampa, I'm in the Rivergate Tower, also known as the Beer Can Building, or now the formerly the Sykes Building, the beautiful leaning tower piece that doesn't lean. I'm in that building, been there since I opened my law firm. Anything you need, criminal defense-wise, or again, any just type of general litigation, call my office. It's 813-999-0502. You can find me at www.therickmanlawfirm.com or email me at arickman@therickmanlawfirm.com. Again, any type of issue you have, you may not think you need a lawyer now, but you never know down the road. I deal with people who have done nothing wrong, who get a knock on the door by law enforcement, and they're accused of something. I have clients who get a subpoena from the federal government because they want to look into some bank record because they may know somebody who's in trouble or associated with somebody else. I get people who've lived a good life and had a couple drinks and went out and made a mistake, and something a lot of people do, and get a DUI. So you may not think you need me, but put me on speed dial because you never know. Somebody needs a criminal defense attorney, and my phone is always ringing. My phone is always open. I answer the calls at 3 a.m. I'll go out to a crime scene if I have to. I went to law school, but I work like a doctor. I'm always on call.
I love that, Anthony. You mentioned some cases about self-defense, which, Alex Lima here is an expert at with his black belt. Also, he is a firearms instructor. So, just because you think you can carry a gun here in Florida and have a gun, there are some things you better do. Now, you tell them legally why they should, and then I want, Alex to chime in on what he does with his profession.
And, without a doubt, when you talk about self-defense, we have the right in this state to defend ourselves. If we feel that we're being attacked, we can meet force with force, including deadly force. That's stand your ground if we're in a place where we have the right to be. And unfortunately, even though you're defending yourself, you're upholding your constitutional right, your human right to self-preservation, sometimes law enforcement doesn't see that way. I have a very serious case right now where my client is accused of 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder because he acted in self-defense. And regardless of what the evidence shows, regardless of what the video shows, law enforcement made a decision at that time, which I think was wrong, which is bad. And now my client's fighting for his life. We're fighting for him in a very serious case. And a lot of times people are invoking their right or using their right. And law enforcement doesn't see it that way. And that's why you need a good criminal defense attorney. If you carry a firearm on you, if you carry a firearm in a vehicle, I would strongly suggest you have my number on speed dial. Because even though you're doing what you believe to be constitutionally protected, someone may not see it that way. And then the next thing you know, you need somebody. And it's important to get involved early because we're able to go out to the crime scene, pull surveillance that law enforcement didn't get, find witnesses that law enforcement didn't know, show the theory of prosecution, show the prosecution their theory is wrong, and build our theory of defense at the very early stages. Don't wait for the state to charge you. Don't wait for that. The moment you think that you're being accused of something, get a lawyer, especially in a situation of self-defense.
Amen. I mean, that's why there's all these classes now. Concealed weapon. There's organizations that say, look, if you shoot somebody, call us first and then call an attorney. Yeah. Because it's best sometimes, and you hate to not be cooperative to the police, because I always promote those guys. They want to come home just like you and me, Anthony.
Without a doubt.
You know, and Alex, you know, really, that's all. They're just doing their job. You know, again, 1 out of 100 attorneys is probably not a good guy. 1 out of 100 cops isn't a good guy. But you know what? You can cipher through them, and by bad luck, you get pulled over by the cop who's just yes, sir, no, sir. And then guess what? You call Anthony and say, Anthony, this guy was this. I didn't do that. I didn't argue with him. I just said yes, sir, no, sir, hoping he would, you know, walk away. But he didn't because he had a bad day. Now, I don't want to pay this ticket and I want to win. Or, you know, I had to shoot somebody in self-defense, Anthony. I feel sick about it, but they're trying to put first-degree murder on me, and I'm not talking to them. I said, call my attorney, and you're my man. So that's how you have to operate, unfortunately, in the litigious society and everybody trying to make a name for themselves.
Well, you know, without a doubt, you know, for me, there's a lot of lawyers who think law enforcement's the enemy, and they're not. Look, as a citizen of Hillsborough County, as a citizen in this area, I support law enforcement. And some of my best friends, some people I work with every day, are great detectives, great law enforcement officers. And they have a job to do. I always tell my cop friends that they're just like me, because nobody likes a lawyer until you need one.
Yes.
No one likes a cop until you need one, right?
Exactly.
Because you don't pick up the phone and call someone. Who are you calling?
Yeah.
Okay, same thing with me. And with me, with my relationship with law enforcement, I think that allows me to get really good results in a lot of my cases where other attorneys don't. Because when I go and talk to a detective or I go and talk to a prosecutor, and I tell them my theory of defense, and I tell them where I'm coming from on a case, they know that I'm not pulling wool over their eyes. They know it's going to be supported by evidence because I've done my homework. I've gone out to the crime scene. I've done everything I need to do, and I treat them with respect. I'm going to get into it. We're going to depose each other. But at the end of the day, I know they have a job to do, and they know I have a job to do. And my job is to protect my client, because we are a check and balance on law enforcement. We're not really anti-law. We're not anti-law enforcement. At least I'm not. Our job is to protect the client. And, you know, that's what lawyers do.
Well, and unfortunately, if the evidence says, Patrick, I'd like to say it was self-defense, brother, and I'm good, and I can spin it with the best of them, brother, we better go for manslaughter, and maybe I can get you a reduced sentence and work on it. Speaking of that, how often out of 10 cases do you have to go to trial?
Look, in my belief, if you prep a case very well, and you show the state the holes in their case, when you go to trial, there's risk. Donald Trump, right now, he's risking, there's a big risk, but he has no choice, right? Most defendants, most people accused of a crime understand that risk. And if there's a case to try it, we'll try that case. But at the end of the day, if we can work out a result for our client that doesn't give them that risk of putting their life and liberty in the hands of, you know, 6 people who they've never met before, you know, that's a big risk for them. So a lot of times we're able to get a very good result through a negotiation. And you don't just get there by walking in, hey, give me this. You have to work that case up. You know, I do hours and hours of depositions and then present to a committee of prosecutors a lot of times as to why this case should either be dropped or reduced to something that my client is happy with taking.
Now, I'm not sure about this, so I'll get your help. No, God forbid I got hit with something big. Obviously, you have to get paid thousands of dollars to do your job. Time, energy, hiring other people. I understand, and I believe I'm right, and if I'm wrong, please correct me, that you can tap into your home insurance to get some help in that department. Am I correct or incorrect in that statement?
You know, I don't get involved
Okay,
in that.
boss. Sorry,
For my purposes, like for my clients, there's different ways to make a payment to a lawyer. You can take out a loan. You can take a home equity line of credit. I haven't had a client actually tap into their insurance, although that may be an avenue. I just don't know. But when we talk about a legal fee, a lot goes into what a representation costs. I mean, for instance, on a case I have right now, I've done over 65 depositions.
Wow.
Each one of those depositions lasting sometimes over 3 hours. So we're talking a lot of time. And then that's just the time actually sitting in the room. That doesn't include for every deposition the 4 hours of prep work that you do to be prepared to do it the right way. Because when I sit down with the witness, when I sit down with the prosecutor, I need to know what they're going to say, know what direction to take them, what questions to ask. So, and then on top of that, you talk about expert witnesses. A lot of cases, you'll have an expert witness. One of the big cases that I handle a lot is DUI manslaughters, vehicular homicides. So when that happens, I go out to the scene initially. I assess the scene. I've done these enough that I can look at tire marks. I can look at roadway debris and determine point of collision, speed, things like that. But a lot of times you have to rely on experts, engineers, to determine speed at the time of collision. Human factor experts who look at the factors surrounding the collision to see if it was an unavoidable collision. So when you look at a defense, so many things go into it, into a real defense when you're defending the client, especially when they're fighting for rights. In my firm, we have a connection of experts, different resources that we use to defend our clients.
That's awesome, Anthony. We're going to take a quick time out here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. You're listed on AM 860, and we greatly appreciate it. When we come back, we're going to finish up with Anthony on what you need to do with the law, and also with Alex Lima talking about how you have to be smart and get a concealed weapon permit, and Anthony can share that with you too. So hang in there with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Consumer Quarterback Show. Your host for this Thursday is yours truly, Patrick Highland. Also, I have Alexander Lima in here with me, and also Anthony Rickman, attorney at law and also criminal defense attorney extraordinaire, my man, and a Fox News contributor on here locally, man. So you might have recognized him from watching him on TV like I have, and also listened to him on Brandon's show. We were talking off the air, Alex, you teach, armed, with guns, how to do it the right way, man, and not get in trouble. And that's important, man. And you're a firearms instructor, and that's a lot of things, just because you have a gun, everybody jokes around, how do you operate a gun? Just point and shoot. And it's a little bit more than that,
It's
folks.
a lot more than that.
Thank you. Please let the audience know, and then we're going to tap into Anthony on how to protect yourself when you do that.
Yeah, so my focus has always been self-defense. I'm a multiple-time state, national, and international champion in full contact fighting, but I only entered into competition always to test where my level of self-defense was at. So whenever I wanted to see where my hands was at, then I got with, I entered a kickboxing competition. When I wanted to see how my jiu-jitsu was, and I want to see how I do against, great grapplers. So it was always to test myself. So then through that, through a chain of events or series of events, of unfortunate events, maybe we would say, I ended up getting into, I worked private security for a while, and I even did some bodyguard work, some executive protection. And then after all these years of training, fighting, shooting, I was like, you know what? I have all these people coming up to me and asking me questions, so I went and took the course to become a USCCA firearms instructor. And one of the things, going back to like what Anthony's saying about you definitely need a lawyer, but one of the things I think we don't touch on enough is heaven forbid that an incident does happen that you need to contact the police and that you do need to contact Anthony Rickman, right? But if in the event that happens, shut your mouth. Don't make phone calls to people. Do not text things to people. It is all usable against you. You said, you want to comply with the police. Absolutely. You be as polite as possible and say, I plan on fully complying with you, but I need to speak to my lawyer first. You can do that politely. You can do that politely before you have to go to the point of being argumentative and then causing bigger problems for yourself. And you're going to be nervous and your adrenaline is pumping, because I know even just being in fist fights that your adrenaline's pumping and you're going to want to be chattery and that dopamine and serotonin are being released and you start wanting to run your mouth. Do not do it. Have the discipline to not do it. And part of that comes with doing training, whether it's with myself or over at Florida Firearms Academy. It is not enough. In Florida, we have constitutional carry. It is not enough just to be able to carry a firearm or purchase a firearm. You need to know how to use that firearm. You need to know when you should use that firearm. This is absolutely critical. It's not the Wild West out here, nor do we want it to become the Wild West out here.
No, very good point. Anthony, speaking of that, it comes into effect sometimes too. I'm a big guy. People know 6'5", 3 bills, okay? I come up against a guy like you, they're going to say, geez, no wonder he shot the guy. You know, he could fall on him and crush him. You know, that has to go into the equation too, correct?
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And you know, when you factor in self-defense, understand you can be killed by fists.
Thank you.
You can be killed by objects, cell phones, whatever it may be. You don't need, in this world, gun on gun. You know, to use self-defense, you have to have reasonable fear that you're going to be the victim of serious bodily injury or death, or in the alternative of forcible felony. What's a forcible felony? If I'm sitting in my car and somebody's trying to pry the door handle open and get into my vehicle, that's an attempted burglary. Okay, so there's different things that we look at, you know, to determine whether or not that force is justified. You know, like I was saying, you know, we have situations where I'm on retainer with clients, and you know, you have me on retainer, something happens, I'll be out there. You don't make a statement to law enforcement without an attorney there. I've had cases where my client has been accused of being the aggressor, being involved in a situation that I believe is self-defense. Let me go out there with you, talk to you first, understand what happens, so that when you meet with law enforcement, and if you decide to talk to law enforcement, you can provide them with a comprehensive understanding of what really happened, because you're nervous, your adrenaline is pumping. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Mm-hmm. One bad word, one way or the other, and you can find yourself on the opposite side of bars.
Even if you misspoke in that moment from the nervousness, and you can't recant that because it's already left your mouth, and they're writing that down.
Without a doubt. And I've had, I had a case yesterday where, law enforcement and I were talking. We negotiated a turn with my client. Hey, we want to talk to your client. We want to hear his side of the story. You'll get your opportunity to give your side of the story. Sure. But not to you alone, not at this situation, and not without an attorney.
Yes.
So for me, it's very important that you, like you said, invoke your right to remain silent, contact me, and I'm not saying we're not going to talk to law enforcement, just not right now.
And you can do that without being combative and aggressive and be like, I ain't saying nothing to you. Like, sir, I plan, or sir or ma'am, I fully plan on complying with you. I will answer your questions, but I'm going, this is a big situation right now. I need to speak to my lawyer first. I need to get myself in order before I say anything. And that's it.
Without a doubt.
That's it.
And you touched on, taking those courses. Because Florida doesn't require a concealed carry. Unfortunately, we have a large group of our population who they're not trained on how to properly use a firearm. They think because you get in an argument, you have a gun, you possess it, let me just take it out and show it. Well, that's aggravated assault or improper exhibition if you're not doing it in the lawful manner. And a lot of people don't know what that lawful manner is. If you discharge that firearm, you're looking at possibly 10-20 life. If you kill somebody, you're looking at homicide. So it's important, even though we don't need a license in the state of Florida, even though you don't need those courses, it's important for people to understand the proper use of that firearm. And if you've made a mistake and you've taken that firearm out, even if you think you're justified, there's a police officer or prosecutor who looks at it and says, I don't think you were, and they're the ones who make that decision. So, it's important to have counsel. It's more important, understand, to know.
Well, let me ask you this, Anthony. Now, most cops, like we said, are good guys and gals, just like with attorneys, just like with insurance agents. Now, that being said, how many cops, in your opinion, and you used to be on the other side of the aisle there prosecuting, how much of them are looking just to get the win versus get to the truth?
Look, I see the majority of law enforcement doing what they feel is right.
Okay.
DUIs, for instance.
Yeah.
I see a rush to judgment on that. A lot of times law enforcement smells alcohol. I watch a video. I'm like, this guy's not impaired, but you're still making the arrest. You're still going through the motions. I see cases where, quite frankly, I don't know if it's intentional or just laziness, where they could have done things that could have exonerated my client, but that's not what they're looking for. They're looking to make the arrest at a time. And, look, like you said, there are bad cops out there. There are bad lawyers out there. There's bad doctors out there. There's bad people in each profession. But the majority of law enforcement we deal with really aren't bad. They may have made mistakes. And a lot of them, I'll be in a deposition or in trial or in court, and they'll concede, you know what, I messed this one up. And I can't tell you how many cops come to me, law enforcement come to me after I depose them or after a trial and say, thank you. I know what not to do next time. I know next time to do X, Y, and Z. And at the end of the day, as a citizen, that's what you want, and you want the accountability. And again, we are the check on law enforcement, because if you don't have guys like me, defense attorneys, saying, hey, you stopped my client for the wrong reason. You claimed that he weaved across the lane. He didn't weave. He didn't swerve. He didn't run that red light. You stopped him because he's leaving South Howard, okay? But, we are the check, because it may not be you this time, but if we don't hold law enforcement accountable, what happens when it is you?
Well, you would like to think they would treat people a certain way, and most cops do,
Yep.
because I'd be like, sir, I pulled you over because you weren't driving exactly straight. Are you okay? All right, let's check you out. Let's not rush to judgment. But they're kind of not trained that way anymore, and that's the problem. Just say, okay, let's see where we are. And it's how you act also. Oh, why are you picking on me? What's your problem, officer? Oh, you just pulled me over to pull me over because I got a fancy car. That's not going to win you friends and influence people.
No,
okay?
Fighting with them not going to do anything. Let me fight for you.
Amen.
Okay? Hire me. Be respectful.
Yes.
And you're not going to win that argument. I am.
Exactly.
When we go to court and I put him on the stand and I cross-examine him on why he had no PC to stop you or why there's no evidence to prove whatever charge he may charge you, that's where we get our opportunity to go at law enforcement. You're not going to win at the roadside. You're going to win in the courtroom.
Home field advantage, I call it, brother, and you can't beat them. You're into sports, man.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
and go Knowles.
Go Knowles.
We got about a minute left before we have to go to timeout. And appreciate your time here, Anthony, and appreciate your contribution to the show. And, you're a consumer advocate, and that's what it's all about. That's what this show's about. Please let the audience know a little bit more about your practice, how to get a hold of you.
Yeah, once again, Anthony Rickman. I do all areas of criminal defense, whether it be DUI manslaughter, white-collar crime, federal, state, any type of criminal defense. My law firm, I will handle it personally. You can reach me at 813-999-0502, 24 hours a day. My website, therickmanlawfirm.com. Please feel free to call me anytime. Save my number.
There you go. Rickman, he's the right man for the job. See
Like
that?
See, look at him. Coming here, got slogans and everything.
I'm going to get you all promoted, my man, Anthony. And I like your style, man. You went to my wife's school, Florida State, so I have to give you kudos. Now, we're the home of the Florida Gators here on 860, but you know what?
Right.
We're very objective, and I tell it like
You
it
can't be
is.
perfect.
Ooh, I like it. I like it. All right, folks. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about some properties and how you can sell your property or buy some property. And also, we got
Derek Kobel with the Right Way PA Public Adjusting. Always good when he's on the show.
you need a guy like that, especially with hurricane season coming.
Definitely.
All right, folks. Come back. We'll be out for just a couple minutes. Thanks.
This is Warwick Dunn, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show.
All right, folks. Thank you for tuning in to the Consumer Quarterback Show here on AM 860, The Answer. We do appreciate the audience very much. My name's Patrick Highland. I'm filling in for Brandon today, Thursday here in Tampa Bay, and couldn't be happier with a couple great guys. I have Alex Lima. Okay, the black belt man.
That's it, the black belt man. I might get that tattooed on my chest.
I like it. I like it. And the funny thing is, most people that are into martial arts are really cool, mellow, and have their head together. But, please don't challenge me or put me in a position where I have to use it because it's not good for either one of us. It's really not. And, it's just funny. It comes down to the guy who thinks he's the toughest in the room is probably the weakest, and the guy who talks the most, he's probably the least educated. It's funny how that works in life.
Yeah, the one with the loudest bark I found usually is kind of the softest puppy.
Good point.
It's kind of crazy actually the amount of the conversations I've had once people. I never go around like walking. I don't walk around with a tap out shirt and tattoos on my neck. With tally marks of how many people I've hit in triangles and stuff like that. But when people find out that I do martial arts, like there's always this like weird gravitation of like people that the questions people ask me like, dude, is it true? You register your hands as weapons once you get your black belt and all this stuff. And I'm like, no, dude, I don't know who told you that. I had a dude try to tell me that it was at a phone store. I was getting my cell phone worked on, and he's like, yeah, I heard that you you're you got to register your hands. And I go, no. He goes, oh, my boy works here, and he's like got like a black belt in Taekwondo, and he said he had to register his hands. And I was like, your boy's lying.
Yeah.
And then he goes, I forgot what he's like, Lewis, come here, bro. And he called him over. They called the guy had a fake. He pulled something out of his card. He's like, oh, well, my instructor maybe. I said, dude, I don't know where you got that, bro, but it wasn't here in Florida, dude.
That's funny stuff.
There's some gangbangers down the road that could care less about the piece of plastic in your pocket that says you're a registered weapon.
Could care less. You either defend yourself or you don't, like we talked about in the last segment. But we do have Derek Kobel here, public adjuster, and it's funny because I've done some things in that line of work, being in insurance and helping people out with their homes, doing claims adjusting, and I'd have to go up against guys like him very seldom because I really treated the clients the way I'd want to be treated. But there's times when the insurance company says, Patrick, we can only give him $50,000, and Derek says, no, Patrick, I need $100,000, and then we have to hash it out and negotiate it because the guy's got to get his house fixed. But I know the insurance company has to save money. They want to collect premiums, not pay on them. And you have a job to do to show a case like an attorney to say, look, this is why we need this amount of money. So please, Derek, explain what you do professionally and your company and everything.
Yeah, so you obviously know the deal, man. The insurance company has their own representation. They have their own adjusters, their own engineers. They have all their own resources. You used to work, on behalf of the insurance company, so you'll know that you cannot represent both the insurance company and the homeowner, but you do what you can to help the homeowner out. So, as a public adjuster, I've said it many times before. Homeowners and business owners have the option of hiring their own private adjuster to ensure that the insurance company is actually paying what they're owed for your damages. So your policy dictates how you get paid, not a contractor, which is big misconception. The insurance companies try to say, well, you have a contractor, what can they do it for? No. You have a policy, and that policy dictates how you get paid. So we're going to fight for your money based off of that policy, and then you could choose to do with that money, which you should repair your property. And a lot of people don't realize they have that option of hiring their own adjuster. And it's, as you know, if they don't have their own adjuster, a lot of people give up on claims. They really don't know the process.
Well, and a lot of people don't know this. Is there a fee to hire you?
Yes. So in the state of Florida, every state's different. In the state of Florida, public adjusters can charge up to 20% of the claim. If it's a hurricane or an emergency claim like a hurricane or a named storm, public adjusters cannot charge more than 10% on a loss.
Okay, but it's not like they have to stroke you a check. It's if you negotiate $50,000 for them, they give you $5 if it's a hurricane, and they get $45 to fix their place. Did I get that right?
Yes, sir. So
Excellent.
If we are able to negotiate $50,000, it's a 10% commission fee. The insurance company sends that check, and then our percentage just comes out of that, and the rest goes to the homeowner.
That's the way it should be. I mean, that's pretty reasonable to have someone get you more money. Now, 10% is not bad at all.
Not at all.
So no,
we're going to definitely recover more than what most homeowner and business owners can recover on their own.
Because you've been doing it. You know how to talk to these guys. You know how to twist their arm, for lack of better terminology. Say, come on now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give the client what he needs and do the right thing for the right reasons.
Absolutely. I have a client right now that has obvious wind damage. I posted a video about it. Rip, missing, creased shingles, which is what the insurance companies look for. Interior damage, exterior collateral damage. And their estimate only included some repairs to the roof, but didn't include the interior, the exterior. And they sent us an offer to settle for an extra $5,000 new money, and they've only gotten $5,000 initially. It's like there's roof. I mean, the roof alone isn't even going to be covered for that, plus all the other damages. So
yeah, and you can't just patch a quarter of the roof or half the roof. It looks foolish, looks silly. You got to fix the whole roof. Now, you don't need to put on Miami shingles, as I call them, but you need to put on some decent
Miami shingles. I mean, you could if you want to upgrade your roof to tile metal. You're welcome to. The carrier's not paying for that upgrade, but you can upgrade your roof. Absolutely.
Right, but you got to be realistic. You can't go from and your roof's 15 years old. Now, I guess you want a brand new roof, don't you, friend? The thing has been replaced 5 years ago. Look, friend, we're not going to piecemeal this. I need the whole thing fixed. And most times they're reasonable and fair. And it depends. How many claims are out there? How big was the hurricane? Is this going to put us out of business? There's a lot that goes on that you have to get, affiliated with and help out the homeowner. Yeah. And you also help out business owners with their commercial properties, correct?
Yes, sir. We
Good,
do.
Derek.
Yes, sir. We do restaurants, hotels. We've done HOAs. Really any churches. We've helped out a lot of communities that don't understand that they do have the option of hiring a professional. Those commercial claims, as you know, those policies are extensive, and there's a lot more endorsements and exclusions in those. So we need to make sure that they're actually, getting paid, because there's so many missed monies that are so many. There's so much money that's being left on the table that these business owners don't understand that they're leaving.
No, it's so true. Well, we all need to stay in our lane. We all have our own skill set, We have our boy Alex over here, who's a black belt expert.
Yeah.
You're a claims adjuster. I'm an insurance specialist. It's, we all have our different walks of life and have different experiences. And if you're outside your lane, you better get help and you better have an understanding. And don't think you know it all, because all you do is cost yourself money. And, don't be penny wise and pound foolish. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to get a public adjuster. I'm going to negotiate and do it on my own. Well, if you can pull that off, God bless you. But you know what? You saved yourself $5,000 per se, but you cost yourself $20,000. Probably not a good move.
Exactly. And like you said, everyone's an expert in their own field. So I'm not going to go teach people, how to be a black belt. That's Alex's job. So just like if you were to go to court, you're not going to be your own lawyer. You don't know the law. You don't know how to fight for yourself. So just like an insurance claim, most people are given a policy because they're mandated if they have a mortgage, and they don't know what that policy says. They're just telling their agent, hey, give me the best on my premium. So they remove. I just had a tile roof church that was going to file a claim, but they got rid of their wind insurance. They got rid of their wind coverage just because they wanted cheaper premiums. And now they have I think I heard it was about a $250,000 roof, and now they got to come out of pocket for it because they decide to get rid of their insurance.
Wow. Well, it's just times are tough. It's speaking about churches, people can't tithe like they'd like to and used to. And that goes into your budget, and then, you try to cut corners, and these things happen. It's just unfortunate where we are right now in society, but that's why you just sometimes it's good to take a risk, sometimes not. Here in Florida, that's a tough one, I wouldn't recommend you doing. But
no, wind of all things.
Yeah, man, because
it's the wind capital of the world here.
Yeah, there's no way to control that, to say the least. So
yeah,
very important.
Yeah,
so.
And there's a lot of people that are going self-insured. If they don't need to have insurance, they don't. They don't have insurance, and they try to self-insure, which is fine. But if something happens, make sure you have your own reserve set. So, hey, if something happens, I've got $20,000 on the side to make these repairs.
It just cracked me up, though, because I know insurance. And, why when you can insure something for 10 cents on the dollar, why would you want to self-insure yourself? Now, if you're a multi-millionaire, you fall in that 1%. Yeah, do you need to spend $5,000 when it might happen, it might not, and if it does happen, it's $100,000 when you're a multi-millionaire. Yeah. It's not going to affect you. That's like you saying, okay, Patrick, you want to get an extended warranty on the phone. No, I think I can handle a $500 phone if I have to versus, paying $5 a month. So it just varies on where you are in life. But most people, when it comes to homes or business, they shouldn't go underinsured because then you can't help them either. There's only so much you can do. I mean, you can say at times you got to pray that wind exclusion. Maybe maybe we had a lot of rain. You can try to say, well, the rain caused the roof, not the wind. But that's hard to produce a lot of times and get the insurance company to buy into that. And then you have, was it wind? Was it rain? Was it this part of the policy that should pay? Is it this part of the policy that should pay? And that's where you become instrumental in helping people out.
Absolutely. There's so many different coverages that people are not aware of that they have in their policy. You have coverage A, the building, you have contents, additional living expenses, other structures, you have ordinance and law, debris removal. There's so many things people aren't aware of. I had a client recently that had damage to their kitchen. There was a leak where their whole house got flooded, or you don't want to say flood, but their whole house was consumed with water to where that homeowner couldn't live in that space. They didn't know they had the option of actually getting extra money for where they had to stay outside of their home, plus extra groceries, extra gas. If you're now 5 miles further from where you work, you actually get compensated for that difference because you're living further away from work. So there's so many little intricate things people just are not aware of when it comes to their policy.
So true, Derek. Do me a favor. Mention the name of your company and a phone number for people to reach you. Then we're going to take a little quick time out. But for people that have to take off right now that need your information, let them have it,
Absolutely.
Please.
The company is Right Way Public Adjusting. I could be reached at any time at my cell phone number. It's 561-951-7968.
Got that Palm Beach extension.
Yeah,
I like it,
sir.
Dude. A little South
I
Florida.
won't change it. Too many people have it.
Exactly. No, people get it, man. There's people. I got a few friends with a Hawaiian extension, Hawaii extension, whatever you want to call it.
Sign me up for one of those, yeah.
Yeah, no doubt, man. That wouldn't be a bad place to come from, would it? Now, we're going to take a quick time out here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. When we come back, we'll finish up with Derek on, how you can protect yourself and know all the laws, especially with hurricane season coming. It's very important. We'll finish up also with Alex talking a little bit about firearms and self-defense, and I'll give you a little tidbit on how I can help you out with insurance and veterans benefits. So hang in there with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you've been listening to the phenomenal Brandon Rhymes, the Consumer Quarterback Show.
All right, folks, thanks for tuning in to the Consumer Quarterback Show here on AM 860 The Answer, 4 to 5, Monday through Thursday. And you also can catch out the show on the Bone. So 102.5 over there. Give a shout out to our buddies over there, too, on Saturdays. So in studio with me, I have Alexander. I want to call him Alexander. I don't know why I want to do that.
So
to you,
that actually is my name, Alexander. My name is Alexander Lima. Yep. But so always, when I I don't know if you probably never caught this because we were cool off bat, but I always introduce myself. Brandon knows this. Whenever I meet you, when I first shake your hand, I go, "How you doing? My name is Alexander." So everybody calls me Alexander.
I like that. And
now,
then you get to know you. Then you get to
over time. Then maybe you get to slip in an Alex.
I like it.
But if you try to shorten it to Al, well, then I will hit you with my favorite submission attempt. Yeah.
Just hit me. Don't choke me out. That's all I ask. That's not a fun feeling. That's why I don't like surgery. Okay?
I don't know. Some people get off on it, I think. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah,
funny, man.
So you'd be surprised. I've had quite a few people when I go to teach seminars. So I go around and I teach clinics and stuff. And I've had people be like, hey, man, those chokes and stuff, they really work. And I'm like, what would make you think that they don't work? Like, what would make somebody think that they don't work? And I've had people ask me to choke them just so I give a demonstration about how this works. And it's they're effective. They work.
Well, it's just you knock the blood supply to the brain. Guess what? You go to sleep. It's real simple.
So quick lesson on chokes. Actually, there's actually 3 kinds of chokes, and I teach this whenever I introduce people to chokes. There's air chokes, blood chokes, and what I call hybrids. Right. So when you're doing like we call it the lion killer where I train. So it's the mata leon in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, or the rear naked choke, quote unquote. They call it the sleeper, right? That's when you're cutting off blood flow. It's a misnomer because people are like, you're cutting off blood flow to the carotid arteries. You are restricting blood flow, but you're also messing with the nervous system there next to the carotid arteries, and that's what makes people go black, go to sleep, you fade to black, right? Air chokes, you attack the trachea. Right? And then the hybrids are like, sometimes your choke is offset, so you're getting a combination of blood flow and air restriction, and kind of like a neck crank action when you go to put it on people. So it's I mean, I could nerd out science because I truly look at this stuff, like people say martial arts or they say combat sports. I've always looked at it as a martial science, and that's why it's like it's unbeatable. That's why you can take somebody who is half your size and they can choke you unconscious. My daughter is 7 years old, and she probably weighs 55 pounds soaking wet or something like that. But if she locks in her choke behind your neck just to demonstrate, and she puts it behind you, I promise you'll start seeing stars. You'll start fading and going black because she knows the technique, and that's something that's wonderful, and I think it needs to be taught across the board,
Well, it's perfect that you said that. With sports, it's not always power. Finesse can have something, and it's the technique. Sure. If you do it right, you get the right speed. Is it helpful? Yes, but it's not the be-all. It's really not. You hit it right on the head.
It's not. And in all sports, actually, I'm going to ask both of you guys, I mean, true or not true, right? When you're talking about the highest level, okay, pro football, pro basketball, pro bodybuilding, boxing, whatever, at that point, isn't everybody strong and fast?
Amen, brother.
So what's the difference maker? Who knows the game better, right? Who knows the game better? So why not start working that from the beginning? Because strength, power, and speed, I can add to you later on, right? We could do that. We hit a good 3-6 month camp in the gym. I'll have you jacked and ready. But the technique and stuff, that's going to be we already established that's the game changer. That's the difference maker in the end. And that's all sports. That if you want to win the chess match,
100% right, man. Mental's with sports. Mental's more important than physical.
No doubt.
Always has been. Always will be.
Mm-hmm.
So no, very cool. It's funny talking chess match.
Yeah.
Derek Kobel here being with Right Way Public Adjusters, correct, sir?
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
Great company. And you do a lot of good for the people out there that a lot of people don't understand a policy. They buy something just for the protection. The mortgage company says, hey, you need homeowners insurance. Okay, how much? $200 a month. Okay, where do I sign? Boom. Okay, great. And then a hurricane hits, and they go, oh, boy, now what do I do? And you better know, look at your options. Research is so key, man.
And I highly recommend to anybody, look at your policy before the storm hits now. Start looking at it now, because you may, let's say you have a pool and a pool cage, a pool screen. That pool screen only during a hurricane occurrence is not covered. Exterior paint is not covered if a hurricane hits. But if it's a normal windstorm, it's covered. So you really have to look at your policy and see, okay, if a hurricane really hits, my deductible is much higher. Instead of that $2,500, $1,000 deductible, now it's 2%. Now it's $5,000, $6,000, $10,000. And now I'm not covered for my exterior paint. I'm not covered for my pool screen. There's things that you're not covered for where a lot of people don't realize that. So when a storm actually hits, it's too late. So
Amen.
highly recommend everybody look at your policy.
No, very much so. And don't be underinsured, but don't be overinsured either. It's funny. I mean, sometimes these insurance companies get silly. They'll go $400,000 for your home. Okay, that's fine. Then $200,000 for personal property. Come on, man. You don't have that much. Stop it. Come on. Unless you're a millionaire, and then guess what? You're not in a $400,000 home then either. So it's just funny how that works. And you have to navigate through that for the people and help them out. So, I respect what you do, man. I really do.
Another really good tip as we get into hurricane season, document your property. This is so tedious, and people do not want to do this. But take photos of your property inside and out. Take a video. Really show the insurance company. So if we get hit by a hurricane here, it could be devastating if something like Hurricane Ian hits our area. Most people did not have pre-loss documentation to show, hey, this is not old damage. This isn't wear and tear, deterioration. It looked fine before the storm. Now it hit, and here's post-loss photos. So document everything. All of your personal property, anything over $250, $300, just document. Couch, laptop, the expensive stuff, at least. If you can do everything, do everything. But I don't know who's documenting how many pairs of underwear and pencils and pens they have, you know?
And after a hurricane hits you, you're not worried about hundreds of dollars. You're thankful you're still alive. You're thankful nobody got lost. You're thankful you can rebuild the house, Hey, when Hurricane Andrew hit down in Homestead, Cutler Ridge is where I grew up. And let me tell you, man, it was devastated there too. Mm-hmm. And, you don't worry about money. You're just happy to be alive and want to get back to some normalcy. And, because it's paradise where we live. That's the trade-off. Mm-hmm. Florida's a beautiful state, but the hurricanes can get the best of us. But there's no place in this country that either tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, you just take your risks with everything. That's why you have insurance, and that's why you have adjusters to help you out with these things. How long have you been doing this for, Derek?
Been doing this for almost about 6 years now,
awesome,
actually. So, I was in the military for a little bit, and then I decided to become a firefighter paramedic, so I did that. Just like Alex, was a firefighter paramedic, and then started doing public adjusting at the same time and decided to move on to this full time.
I'm so glad you said that, Derek. Thanks for your service. Were you in the military, Alex?
No, I was a firefighter paramedic.
Right. I wanted to make sure. No, I help out veterans every day, and any veterans out there listening to the show or any family of veterans, please, there's a lot of things out there for these guys and gals that went through a lot. I want you to take my number down, 813-966-1052. That's 813-966-1052. Thank you for your service, Derek. I didn't know that. What branch were you in, young man?
Navy.
You're in the Navy. Very cool, man.
Yes, sir. Signed the papers when I was 17. My parents had to co-sign.
So
a month after high school, I was out.
Good for you, man. What an experience, and you're willing to take a bullet for us. I don't forget that. That's why I love helping out the military
and
guys.
That's why I love doing what I do now. Fight for the little guy. I brought it up on the show maybe a few weeks ago, the David and Goliath story. We're fighting against these big insurance companies. They have all the money and power and resources in the world, and people just don't have the resources to fight them themselves. So I like being able to help people.
Well, and because of your background in the military, the discipline that you received, Alex's discipline, I received discipline from sports. That's the people you really want to work with who are disciplined, because they'll go the extra mile for you. And then you want to know if they care. And guess what? You might have to do a lot of work to get that $5,000 contingency on a $50,000, but you love what you're doing. You appreciate what you're doing. It gives you a living. But it gives you a good feeling when you help out your fellow man. And Brandon says it all the time. Do a random act of kindness for your fellow man. It's so important, man. I don't care what you believe in. I believe in the Lord, and that's where I get my from. But if you don't, that's your prerogative. I don't judge anybody. I don't tell anybody what to do, just like I don't like a vegetarian telling me I can't have a hamburger. Please. You do you, I'll do me.
Exactly.
Okay? And that's how I believe with this. So if you believe in the universe, I believe that comes back to you. It's just doing the right things for the right reasons.
Absolutely.
I can tell that's what you're about, man. And
yes, sir. I wear this every day at my church. Pray first. I serve at my church every Sunday. I'm the guy that rides the golf cart and takes people, from the parking lot to the front.
Good for you, man.
I meet a lot of people, met a lot of connections, and there's, so many people out there that really we're all on the same page. We're all going through struggles. We're all going through hurt. We're all, facing the inflation and everything going on in the world. And there are a lot more people on our side and on the same page than we think.
It's so true. Talking about that, you get 100 people at the diner, I like to say. You'd be surprised. 85 to 90, we all agree upon the same thing. You got 5 that are going, no, you 85 are wrong. And the other 5 going, no, they're right. And then you get into tribal nonsense. And we're all in this thing together, man. We're all not going to get out of this alive. So wake up and smell the coffee, I say, and treat your fellow man. We need to get some more civility and more compassion and a more compromise. You know? If we would do that, we'd be a lot better off. Just like in your line of work. If you're going up against an insurance company, let's compromise. I know you want to give them $50,000. I want to get them $100,000.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can make it $75,000 or $80,000 and make everybody happy and make the client happy.
Yes, sir.
Folks, I want to thank you for tuning into the Consumer Quarterback Show today. Derek Kobel, one more time, give out your name and number for the
Derek
people.
Kobel, Right Way Public Adjusting. My cell is 561-951-7968.
And if you want to get some training, you have an initiative for the martial arts, please get a hold of Alexander Lima. In a few weeks, he'll let me call him Alex. Go ahead, my man.
Yeah, you can always hit me up, 813-426-1588. I got a lot of awesome things going on with American Top Team. We're putting on a mixed martial arts show here in the Bay Area, World Class Fight League in June. And, just be kind to each other, people. Be better. Let's cut the crap already, huh?
Amen. God bless Tampa Bay.
You've been listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon.